Hello. Good evening, Robert.
Hi there. Now, both vice presidential candidates presented an intense exchange during the debate, but who is perceived to have won this debate, Nova?
Well, the perception seems to be, according to most polls, that Governor Kent won the night yesterday. This was because of his delivery and also the perception that Senator Kane interrupted very often. Now, this could also be the impact of the expectations for each candidate. People had higher hopes going into the debate for Senator Kane, while for Governor Kent, they didn't have that much of high expectations for him. And of course, this comes on the backdrop of a very bad week for the Trump campaign in general, both because of his perceived unpreparedness for the first debate in Hofstra University a couple of days ago, and also due to the recent hack scandal where it's been revealed that in 1995, Donald Trump's business lost something along the lines of $1 billion, and they entitled him to not pay any federal taxes for the next 18 years. It's been a bad week for the Trump campaign, and while the perception that Mike Pence won the debate may have sort of stopped the free fall, but we'll see whether this has an impact in the days ahead.
What impact does the debate bring on the overall presidential race?
Well, the impact of the debate is still, I hate to say this, debatable, because it is the second person on the ticket. People usually still look to the first person on the ticket, the presidential candidate. And if you know that last night, most of the conversation or the debate was focused on the first person on the ticket, with Governor Pence criticizing Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine criticizing Donald Trump, and each candidate having to respond to allegations about their respective presidential candidates. Now, we also know that sometimes vice presidents win debates only to have their president lose the election. This was very evident in 1988, where the election where then Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush ran for president, while on the Democratic side it was Michael Dukakis. And during the debate between the vice presidential nominee of the Republicans, Dan Quayle, and the vice presidential nominee from the Democrats, Lloyd Bentsen, there was a very colorful exchange where Dan Quayle mentioned that his age and experience was almost on par with John F. Kennedy when he ran for president. And Lloyd Bentsen said basically that he was a friend of John F. Kennedy. He worked with JFK, and Dan Quayle is by no means JFK. This was a very heated exchange, and he actually won the debate that night. But we all know that George Herbert Walker Bush ended up winning in 1988 and becoming president. So it remains to be seen, but at least it seems that Mike Pence has stopped the free fall, as it were, of the Trump campaign for this week. And so all eyes will be on Donald Trump himself as he goes the second time with against Hillary Clinton, and also whether he's willing to take a tip from his running mate in preparing for debate, because we saw a very seasoned politician who's used to debate both on the local level, being governor, and also on the national level, because he was previously a congressman from around 2000. And we saw how a very prepared candidate showed up at the debate last night. We'll see whether the top of the ticket picks up any points from that. Alin and Robin.
Nova Poerwadi, thank you so much. VOA is live from Washington, D.C. Now moving on, Jakarta Electoral Committee will cover the cost of campaigns for all candidates of the gubernatorial elections to minimize the potential of